To tell you the truth, I have not been looking forward to making this video. Remember before when I said X-Men was creatively perfect? Well, Superman is a creative obstacle course. Growing up, I was never really that into Superman. I always felt like he kind of lacked the cool factor that Batman has. Especially with the most cookie-cutter origin story of all time, reading source material that covers that did leave me kind of nervous. I mean, the fact that I've read Spawn before Superman should be evidence enough. But one of the most important lessons I've learned getting into comics is to find the creators that you love and follow them to the ends of the earth. And there are no two people I trust more introducing me to the Man of Steel than Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. So how is Superman in comic form for the very first time? It's pretty good. I really feel like Tim Sale is probably the first comic artist whose style I can really recognize. He goes with this like watercolor approach and it gives the story such a unique visual identity. This is why I love this team so much, because the story is so human and this stylized art seamlessly feeds right into it. The art goes so far beyond simply portraying the writing. Like for instance, Clark's relationship with his dog is purely told through the art. There are just like so many little character moments that you can pick on with absolutely no writing whatsoever. And it's not like it's just hand drawn. It feels so handcrafted. Like I imagine Tim Sale in this like cute little art studio and he has all his watercolors and he's like vibing to some soft jazz. And I say this because that's exactly how this comic reads like, and it's just so cool as a result. Story-wise, we start off with annoying but quick exposition. The real thing I'm happy they didn't do though is spend any amount of time on Krypton. Let me tell you why this is so cool. The other stuff I've read by these two are like love letters to those characters. For example, The Long Halloween, while I do love it, is not really challenging the character of Batman like something maybe Grant Morrison does in Arkham Asylum. But in For All Seasons, I think it's a pretty damning rejection on Superman as Kal-El, or however the fuck you say it, like the alien. He's Clark, the guy from Smallville. The most direct way they do this is when they mention that there's this rumor Superman lives in a fortress of solitude, and they kind of shit all over it. Like, why would Clark, who is guided by his relationships, ever choose to be alone like that, especially when they consistently show how homesick he gets in Metropolis, not having them? That melancholy is surprisingly present. There's this kind of overall anxiety about Clark moving to Metropolis, not because of some supervillain, but because it's just a big transition. He'll miss his parents, his friends, his high school crush. There is no shortage of people in Smallville, and it's not a huge deal, but I do feel like they spend maybe a little bit too much time with them. The real selling point though is Clark, of course. His struggles with being a superhero, all but basic, are written well. There's just this beautiful wonder in his eyes. So when Clark says goodbye to Smallville at the end of the first chapter, it's such a genuine one. He really embraces his innocence and he's just such a warming presence. You feel so safe with him. I don't really think there's been a good movie adaptation that shows how sensitive Clark is, and it's this contrast with his godlike powers that makes him such a compelling protagonist. You know what you can't fix with super strength? Growing up. You know what you can't fix with laser eyes? Missing your parents. This is the angle this comic goes for, and if you just let it in, I guarantee it's gonna tingle your heartstrings. In my Long Halloween video, I compared it to Breath of the Wild, and if you'll let me, I'd like to do one more video game comparison. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is the highest scored game in Metacritic history. While revolutionary in the 90s, I of course was busy in my dad's balls. And it's 30 years old, it doesn't have the best graphics, doesn't have the best action, it's overall aged, and I only played it for the first time when I was 18. I have no nostalgia for it. And yet, it has remained one of my favorite games of all time, because at its core, it's about a boy learning to become a man. It's embracing change, internalizing loss, and Superman For All Seasons has had the exact same effect on me. I can't sit here and tell you it's my favorite art of all time or my favorite action of all time or even like the best pacing of all time, blah blah blah, but throughout the graphic novel, Clark will often refer to Superman in the third person, and I think that's very intentional. I think it's Clark genuinely trying to figure out who Superman is, what kind of person he wants to be, or what kind of person he doesn't. Lex Luthor is everything that Superman is not. While Clark has this magnetic humility, Lex's hubris is blinding. The concept of a foil, a character that exists to contrast another character's traits, is thousands of years old, but it works so well here. Lex, I'd argue, isn't even that evil. Like, he doesn't crave power like you would expect. He has pretty much all but literal superpowers in this society. What he craves is recognition and love, the same as Clark. But while Clark channels this into securing his attachments, Luthor is consumed by his anxiety. Lex spends his days worrying what the shoeshine man says about him or what the office water cooler topics are. He is a man deeply tethered to his fear, and fear is the driving force of their conflict. Lex, fearful of Metropolis's love for Superman, is trying to get him to leave, while Clark, fearful of change, already wants to because he misses home. But Clark, unlike Lex, is finally able to embrace that fear and that change. And that's pretty much the story. Very similar to Hulk Grey, For All Seasons is not some bombastic, exciting narrative. It takes the approach to start with its characters and write outward. I really admire how chill this comic is. It's such a vibe. I would say it's perfect for like a nice time at like a coffee shop or a jazz-filled art studio, but I do kinda wish more happened. The Smallville plotline, like I mentioned, does overstay its welcome. Superman's retreat back home is kind of sudden and not really explained very well. Lois Lane has nothing interesting to do, and Lana Lang gets way too much airtime. But none of these got even close to souring my overall enjoyment of this stellar story. Before I give my final rating, I just want to shout everyone out who suggested this as my intro to the character. Y'all picked the perfect one, so since all my video ideas come from your lovely comments, I am once again asking for your recs. Any hero, any story, any writer, whatever you think I should read with my fresh Zoomer brain. Next week, I'm doing a little bit more of a topical video. I'm gonna read Garth Ennis's The Boys in preparation for the show's final season. So if you don't wanna miss that, be sure to subscribe. I can't deny, guys, I do really like it when numbers get bigger. As for Superman For All Seasons, yes, it's another great time for my creative crushes, but it's also a story that would work if you completely separated it from the Superman mythos. It's always a bit easier to criticize something that is present. Pointing to a specific page or panel and being like, I don't like this, is infinitely more simple than criticizing something that's lack thereof. This is ultimately a story with a very small scope and an even shorter length. It is a bit of suffering from success, and it's only because I know this team can produce long, well-paced, and amazing stories. I think as a result, the story sits in this weird middle ground where it's not long enough or bold enough to have twists and turns and multi-act structures, but at the same time, there's a little bit more fluff than you would expect. Lois Lane's character has nothing to do. Smallville has way too much airtime, and it's not brief enough where I can excuse all of these fully. But criticisms aside, I want to get across this is an emotional, human, and intimate story, and it will deeply touch you for everybody who's been through a transition, anyone who's missed their loved ones, their comfort, and it's a really powerful message as a result. 1000% I recommend this, and I'm gonna give it a very strong 8 out of 10. I would also doubly recommend it if you're not as sold on Superman just like I was, and I would triply recommend it if you like some good ass art. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed. Have a good one. Peace.